Well, we'll get it rolling on the Krueg Show. Hope everybody's having a great day. It is September 12th, Tuesday, September the 12th, 5:04 on the West Coast, 8:04 on the East Coast. Hope everybody's having a great day. 49ers atop many of the power rankings around the NFL after their Week 1 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers at Heinz Field. Niners getting ready for Week 2 against the Rams at SoFi. Lots of Niner fans expected to be in the house. Raj from RSF 49ers is here. Raj, good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you too, Larry, man. It's a great week after a win. Week 1, I'm happy. I'm just still living off that good win off of Week 1, man. I'm excited. I'm hyped.
Man, it was a great Week 1. I mean, the 49ers, go into Pittsburgh and really slapped them around. They really did. I mean, they had their way. They did everything they wanted to do. In fact, Peter King wrote this week, he's like, I'm not surprised the 49ers won, but I'm very surprised how they won. As the Niners ran for 188 yards, they held the ball for 37 minutes. They played almost 100% mistake-free football in the pass game. 5 sacks of Kenny Pickett, 2 picks, thorough domination from the 49ers. Were you surprised that the Niners won 30-7, that they made it look so easy?
I mean, this is a Super Bowl roster, right? Everybody says they're one of the top teams in the NFL. All the talent. I'm not surprised that all this talent was able to go out there and crush them. I will say I was surprised in terms of, I thought the Steelers would make it, a little bit more competitive, but that just shows you how good of a team this 49ers team is. I was watching that mic'd up today, Deebo Samuel mic'd up, and just looking at the talent, like Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Trent Williams. This is the best team in the league. I know we're Niner fans, but they have so much talent, all these high-paid players across their roster. So it shouldn't really be a surprise, but I think the thing was, coming into this season, there was a lot of drama. The quarterback, oh my God, Brock Purdy's coming off the injury, and then the Nick Bosa stuff. But I think, honestly, top to bottom, this roster is just amazing, and they got it done, and they showed us why they're a top team. And like you said, they're the number 1 team in the power rankings. I know it's Week 1. The guy that really did it for me, that stood out, Javon Hargrave. Oh my God, you watch the film. I mean, I know Drake Jackson had the 3 sacks, but if Javon Hargrave is the difference maker that we needed on that D-line, Larry. Oh my God. I'm not too surprised.
He was great. He got a late sack, but he also, was applying pressure much of the game. Who would you say, if I said to you, such and such either 49er player or 49er coach is disrespected by the content creator universe or by the media or by the fans? Who is the most disrespected 49er? And when I say that, relative to how much respect they deserve for how well they do their job, compare that to how they are raked over the coals or treated by the fans, media, or content creators. Who is the most disrespected? Is it Brock Purdy? Is it Colton McKivitz? Is it Kyle Shanahan himself? Who is the guy who is thoroughly competent, but just doesn't get any love from the Niner faithful?
Okay, I'm not going to put Colton McKivitz because he still has a lot to earn there, Larry. But my top 3 list, I got Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and Brock Purdy. The quarterback always gets the hate. John Lynch, for whatever reason, people dog him. I know they've missed on some draft picks, but you got to realize this man has put together a phenomenal roster. What I just said coming into your live was that roster. A lot of that is John Lynch. He's cultivating this roster. He's the leader of the front office, the general manager, and Kyle Shanahan gets so much hate. Did you see his offense this week was just so good? There was a stat, I can't remember who posted it, but it showed who had all the motions and shifts in the league. And there was 5 teams, the top 5 teams basically won their games. I think one team didn't. It was the Chiefs, but they didn't have Kelsey. But it just shows you how amazing this man's offense. And if he can orchestrate the offense like he needs to be, and he was pretty aggressive this week, and his quarterback is healthy, Him and Brock Purdy go hand in hand. I mean, this man gets no respect. Everybody says, fire Kyle, fire Kyle. Every week. I think you mentioned that on your show every week. And he gets no respect, man. This guy took over when Jimmy Tomsula and Chip Kelly were running this team to the ground. Here comes Kyle Shanahan, and he's really catapulted this team. They've went to 3 NFC championships, a Super Bowl. I know he hasn't got it done, but he's close, man. And this roster is the best that he might have ever had. And give Kyle Shanahan his flowers.
Yeah, I think I would go with Shanahan as well. I think there's, there's a lot of Niner fans walking around going, "Damn Shanahan." It's like, really? Really? I mean, the offense scores points. It scores points with multiple quarterbacks. They've been to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. They've got a run game that works on an annual basis. They have a play action game that appears to work. They just put 30 on the Steelers in their place and kind of could have put more. I mean, they kind of called off the dogs and really just played to win that game. They didn't run it up on the Steelers. So I don't know. To me, you can question Purdy and say, well, he's not that experienced. Okay, fine. He was a Mr. Irrelevant. Okay, that's draft position and it's tired, but it's still fine. He doesn't have the biggest arm. All right, I'm not even going to push back on that. You're right. He doesn't have the biggest arm. And if you want to say Lynch, look at their first-round picks, I guess you can hold his feet to the fire. But the thing about Lynch and Shanahan, Lynch at least can say, hey, look at the roster. Look at the roster that we have. Did they blow some picks? Sure. Would they have had a better roster if they hadn't traded those picks for Trey Lance? Sure. But they already have a damn good roster. I would say it's probably top 5 in the NFL. But to me, Shanahan's the guy because Shanahan produced an offense in Atlanta that set the record for first down productivity. They averaged like almost 9 yards on first down that year that they went to the Super Bowl. That's Atlanta. Then he leaves Atlanta. Sarkisian takes over, same weapons, and that Atlanta team just fell apart. They were never the same. And the 49ers have been in 4 of the last 5 NFC championship games, and they got an offense that's cooking. And, yeah, they have got great weapons, but, I mean, really? We're now going to say it's about the weapons? It's a lot about his coordination and the play calling and the play sequencing and the play design and his play action game and his ability to put certain defenders in conflict and his understanding of defensive football and what's going to be a real challenge to defend as opposed to something that's relatively easy to defend. And I just think that, it's Shanahan. Shanahan's the guy that, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because he gets a little snarky with the media or if he sounds like he doesn't suffer fools gladly or people find him arrogant, whatever. But to me, he is the guy who's got the pelts on the wall. He is literally Andy Reid before Mahomes. If you were, I'm sure there were people walking around Philly or calling up IP in Philly going, Andy Reid's never going to win the freaking Super Bowl. Well, guess what? Those people are wrong and they're idiots. And those people have now migrated west and they're saying that about Shanahan, and Shanahan hasn't had his quarterback. But when he came out and called Brock Purdy the real deal, I think what he was saying is, I think it's sustainable, and I think I can win it all with this guy, and I don't need anything more than what this guy already has shown. And I think that was his way of saying he's the real deal. Like, for those of you saying it's not sustainable, I'm over here saying, yeah, it is. And for those of you who think I can't climb to the mountaintop because I don't have a quarterback, I do have a quarterback. It's Brock Purdy, and I feel pretty good about him. So that was everybody ran with that like it was like, he's putting an enormous amount of pressure on Brock Purdy. No, I think he's just kind of pushing back on the notion that Brock Purdy was some kind of fake or some kind of 1 year. I mean, people literally, I'll say this, the one that caught me and I can remember distinctly, it wasn't more than 2-3 weeks ago. Somebody in a chat described Brock Purdy as the Jeremy Lin of NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And that was the ultimate, that's the ultimate disrespect. And nothing against Jeremy Lin, and he's made a lot of money, that's for sure. But Linsanity was a craze, and there wasn't a lot of substance to it. And once teams understood just how to defend him a little bit, they could just shut off his water, and suddenly he made all kinds of mistakes and showed that he was pretty marginal at best. This guy's not that guy. This guy's not on the verge of proving he's marginal at best.
Yeah, absolutely not. And that's the thing. Everybody wants to discredit somebody. They always look for the guy to blame. Who's the weak link? If you got a team this great, they're going to find someone. And you're right. Brock Purdy's a guy that Kyle, he gave him the vote of confidence early in the offseason, like we talked about. He says he's the leader of the clubhouse. He's the guy. He's got it factor. You got all the players, hyping him up. And Kyle, it's going to live or die by the quarterback. I feel like that's always been the one situation. But I think he genuinely found the guy that he knows can run this offense. And look at Brock Purdy, looked like he didn't miss a step out there this weekend, coming off the injury and everything. I mean, he ran the offense so efficiently. The biggest word, everybody always says it, that he's poised. He just looks so poised, running out of the pocket, creating. That's what Kyle needed, and he has it. And these two guys are going to go hand in hand. If Brock Purdy does well, Kyle Shanahan does well. And if this team wins a Super Bowl, Kyle will sit there and say, I told you so. This is my guy. It took him a while to get to where he needed to be. But listen, man, there's nobody else that you could replace Kyle with. And I don't think there's anybody else you could replace Brock Purdy with. These two guys have been cooking. I mean, since CMC came in and Brock Purdy came in last year, the offense doesn't lose games unless Brock Purdy gets an injury. And offense, 30 points on week one. You know how a lot of teams are rusty on week one? They dropped 30 points. And like you said, probably could have scored more, but they kind of took it easy at the end. And Debo, he was just, a decoy. Kittle was coming into the game, favoring the groin. This offense can score 40 points if they really wanted to, easily. It's insane. Brock Purdy, he's impressive. All his teammates were put in the post, the picture on their Instagram this week that says he's him. You got Brandon Ayuk on KMBR telling everybody today that he has it. Like, they see something special in Brock, and that's from Kyle looking at the scout tape and saying, we got a guy here. We need to get him. And if this team stays healthy, the sky's the limit. I honestly think they are the best team in the NFL. If you watched every game this week, they flat out look like the most amazing team out there. I'll give the Cowboys credit because they shut out the Giants. They look pretty good too. But top to bottom, the 49ers team is just out. I mean, man, well, it's like Ferraris. It's like you just got a bunch of Ferraris, and they're all high-powered. It looks fun. The only guy that kind of sticks out to me, like a sore thumb, is probably Colton McKivitz. But, he played T.J. Watt. That was a big test, but it's not going to get easier for him. So that's the only bugaboo I got to say coming into, this week 2 is I was a little worried about the right side of the line, and the defensive penalties, they got to tighten up because you're not going to be able to get away with that kind of stuff, that coverage on certain other teams. But overall, I mean, I was so impressed by this team.
Yeah, it was a very impressive week 1. Wave wears his unnecessary hate, in my opinion. Those guys deserve much love. Hey, Larry, we got this one from Brandon Simmons. I'm calling it now, Larry. Brock will win 5 Super Bowls with Kyle Shanahan. Wow, 5 Super Bowls.
Love it.
Mike Monahan says, told you all for months Purdy would be fine and ready to win come week 1. Purdy Nation. There you go. And there are people that are sickened by this. There are people that are like, I mean, literally, there are content creators that in the last 10 days have been calling Brock Purdy mid, and he's this, and he's mid, and he's like, if you can't see that this guy's good, that's on you at this point. Yeah. That's my view of it. If you couldn't see what I saw coming out of Iowa State, all right, fine. You don't do the deep dive like I do the deep dive. If you couldn't see it last summer in camp, okay, camp is camp and maybe you don't turn it on. But if you couldn't see it last year after he was really good in camp, really good in the preseason, and then gets called off the bench in the middle of December after sitting for 3+ months, and then played incredible football and ran the table, if you couldn't see it then and you went into this offseason going, I ain't the guy, I can't help you. And if you're now watching this, he just went into Pittsburgh. And to me, what he did that was the most impressive part about this weekend is he played mistake-free football in the passing game. He didn't throw 3 picks. He didn't throw any picks. And to me, that's it. That's it right there. He was really, really efficient, and he took care of the ball in the passing game. And I think that's, and I think it is sustainable. We're going to find out. As far as the biggest issue, what is your number one concern? You brought up McKivitz. Now, here are the 3 that I brought up earlier today.
Yeah.
The Niners did have 11 penalties.
Yeah.
Okay. The Niners coverage unit on kickoff return did give up over 30 yards per return, and it always looked like McFarland was like 1 bounce away from taking it to the house.
Yeah.
And then the Niner O-line, it wasn't just McKivitz that struggled. Burford had the lowest Pro Football Focus grade. The unit gave up 3 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, and 15 pressures on Brock Purdy. Of those 3, the coverage unit on special team, the penalties across the board, or the O-line protection, what's the primary concern?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I know you mentioned the penalties. Honestly, I'm not too worried about it because last year the team opened up the same way, and the year before, a lot of penalties, a lot of sloppiness. It takes a few weeks to kind of get everything settled, get into game shape and maybe, kind of avoid those penalties. So I'm not too worried. The same thing happened last year. I remember it was like penalty, and we were sitting here going, oh, my God, they need to figure out the penalties. So I'm not too worried about that. Definitely something that you got to keep an eye on, but they'll work on it. They'll iron it out. It's the O-line. And like I said, it was the right side of the O-line specifically. I put the onus on McKivitz because I think he's the guy that everybody's got the eye on. But it's both. You're right. Burford and McKivitz on the right side, they got to work in tandem. They got to be a duo. And I just didn't see that chemistry they had together. So I feel like they have to kind of continue to develop together. Burford's only in the 2nd year. And remember last year, he did split some time with Brunskill. So now he's a full-time player. And McKivitz, he's never really been a starter. This is his first year as a starter. So people are going to test him. Got Aaron Donald coming up this week. In a couple of weeks, you got Parsons. You got Myles Garrett coming up in a couple of weeks. So it's not going to get easier for these guys. But I do think that is the biggest concern because I don't want to see Brock Purdy taking hits or getting hurt because this is the biggest issue the 49ers have had over the last couple of years, in my opinion, is keeping your quarterback healthy, right? That's how we even got to Brock Purdy in the first place is we went through quarterback after quarterback till we found, Mr. Irrelevant, and he became the savior. So you got to keep Brock upright. As great as we talked about how Brock is, and his elusiveness and stuff, I mean, it's football. You're going to get sacked, and he got sacked 3 times by T.J. Watt. We don't want to see that every week. I definitely think it's this offensive line. Will they get better? They could, but not everybody's Trent Williams. So hopefully they do get better, trial by fire. But I am a little concerned about that right side of the O-line. I just want to make sure that they can continue to get better because I want to see Brock Purdy healthy and continuing to develop out there.
NorCal Dan says, I played baseball at Sierra College where Ayuk played J.C. Ball. He's on a mission, and he has chemistry with Brock. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. We've been saying it all summer. Ayuk's on a mission, and, man, they threw him 8 balls. He caught 8 balls. And that's what we saw all summer. You throw it high, he goes and gets it. You throw it low, he's scooping it off the grass. The radius is massive, and you just got to throw it. I mean, you're going good when you got a quarterback that can put it on the hands like Purdy, and you got a receiver who can catch it anywhere in the vicinity of his body.
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about that. When you got a quarterback that's as accurate as Purdy and a receiver with a catch radius, it reminds me in some ways of Randy Moss with Tom Brady, where Brady was just putting it right on him, and Randy had a massive catch radius and could catch anything. And it's like when you got that, it's like shooting into a bucket that's 10 times as wide as a normal basketball hoop. It's like you can't help but make shots. Waveware says you called it, man. You and Jess before anyone. Jess being Jesse Naylor, I think.
Naylor.
And then we got Luke Luna, who for some reason thinks that I've been ripping Brock. Larry, you're saying Brock is injury prone. No, I'm not. That's not what I saw watching Iowa State, and I don't think it's even fair for you to be calling him glass since his time with us. Luke Luna, stop smoking grass. That's all I got to say. I don't know what to say about you, bro. I've never said that he was injury prone. And any of the time doing the live streams with me, at any point have I ever said Brock Purdy is injury prone?
I don't recall that, Larry.
I don't recall that either. But Luke Luna thought so. CMC.
Oh,
The one complaint I have with Kyle is I want to see CMC in the playoffs,
I do.
and he had 25 touches, and the game was decided, and he's still out there doing his thing, and I know he's tough. 125 yards of his 152 came after contact, but I'd like to see them dial back his touches. If you're up 30-7 this week on the Rams, give me some J.P. Mason. Give me some Elijah Mitchell. Heck, if you activate TDP, give me a little TDP. Give me a little Hughes check. Give me a little anybody but CMC. What do you think? Did Kyle overuse CMC, or is that just a week one thing? You think he's going to balance it out going forward? 7 of his 22 runs for McCaffrey resulted in a first down or a touchdown. So, there was all kinds of value there. And he hasn't missed any games with the Niners. He's missed a lot of games in his career, but he's played in every game with the Niners, I believe. But what do you think? I mean, that's an awful – it seemed like 25 touches for CMC, and the next highest touch guy was Ayuk with 8. I was hoping maybe that Elijah would take some of that workload.
Yeah, no, that's something I mentioned too on my post game that day. Is CMC is amazing. He's so good. Like, it's so hard not to give him the ball because every time he touches it, you get positive yards, it seems like. And he's disciplined. He's in great shape. Like, I know Kyle loves this guy. Like, he is a superstar. CMC is amazing. But I agree with you. I want to see that superstar in January and February. I thought he'd give the ball a little bit more to Mitchell. Get him that callus. He missed some time this offseason. He had some injuries. Get him back into shape. Get him back into football shape. You got Jordan Mason. Let those guys take some carries. Let them get some development. CMC had nothing to prove. The only thing I feel is maybe Kyle Shanahan had CMC on his fantasy team, and he was trying to run that up because there was no reason for CMC to be in that game. He had 152 yards rushing, the touchdown. Like, the guy was a flat-out star. I agree. I give him a little bit of time off. He earned it. A few snaps aren't going to kill his season. You give him about 5 less carries in that game, I think it would have been fine, maybe even less. And the thing is, it was weird because I saw some report about a week ago, and they said that Kyle's going to give him less carries. His usage is going to be a little bit down, but it didn't seem like that Monday. So hopefully it's just like a week one thing, and I think Kyle might have been very excited because CMC was pacing the offense. I think they need to scale down on that and let some of these other guys get going because you don't want to have CMC get bogged down, although he's never been hurt with the Niners. I feel like he kind of just turned the clock back when he became a 49er. Like, how excited he is playing for this team. Like, he has the adrenaline, but I do wish that they would have scaled it back just a bit because we're going to need that guy come playoff time. This guy he's just so good. That 65-yard touchdown, though, Larry, was
play of the game.
Play
of the game.
Oh, my God.
And his run and spin was awesome, and the blocks at the line of scrimmage were great. But it's Ayuk and Ray that really got my attention. And I know Ayuk got the decleater, man, where he just got underneath KZ and he just vaulted him right out of his shoes. That was incredible. But to me, the better one was Ray. Because Ray's on the other side of the formation. Ray probably had to sprint 70 yards to get down the field to throw a block at the 1. I mean, Ray, that was the ultimate selfless block right there.
And that's why this team is so good. Like I said, it's like just a team. It's teamwork makes the dream work. It's like a squad of just unselfish guys. They all want each other to shine, and they're all going to do what they got to do to get each other better. And you're right. Ray probably ran across the whole field. For him to get that block was incredible. And that, again, goes back to when we were talking about Kyle Shanahan setting these plays up, making sure the receivers are in a certain spot to get those blocks. That all goes down to the scheme, the offensive system, the motion. It's incredible. And that goes to Kyle coaching these guys up because what is the one thing he tells these receivers? No block, no rock. That's why certain receivers didn't pan out on this team because they weren't physical enough. Look at Juwan Jennings. He became a good player for the 49ers because he was unselfish. Kendrick Bourne, those type of guys that block, they got, opportunities. Dante Pettis, the guy got cut off the team because he didn't want to block. So that's what Kyle Shanahan wants, and you saw it on full display on that run. Unbelievable.
Tom Pelissaro reported the Niners worked out Ian Book today, former Notre Dame quarterback, and I love it. I mean, I when I saw the Eagles cut Ian Book in August, I did a video at that time, and I mentioned it at that time that Ian Book would be an ideal Niner. He's an athletic, undersized quarterback who was 30-5 at Notre Dame. He's a NorCal kid, Oak Ridge High School, El Dorado Hills up near Sacramento. This guy's got almost 10-inch hands. He's only started one NFL game. He doesn't have big arm strength by any stretch, but as far as a practice squad quarterback, I love it. And the fact of the matter is, Raj, this guy was in Eagles camp all summer, right there in the room with Tanner McKee and Jalen Hurts and Sirianni's, tearing up, I'm sure. So he's been there he's been front and center for all those Eagles practices. I'd sign him, put him on the practice squad just for intel on, Niners Eagles, which we get in December, I believe, at the link. Get as much information as you can about the Eagles offense from Ian Book and stash him on your practice squad as a fourth string quarterback. I think it's a great move. He works out tomorrow for New England, so it's not like it's a done deal or anything. But what do you think?
Yeah, no, 100%. If you can get any intel on any team that you're going to play, might as well. And you never know. I don't think he'll, like I said, he's not going to play. You got Brandon Allen already, who Kyle loves. But at the end of the day, you can't have too many, too much depth. So I like it. I don't think it was a bad move. But when I saw that this morning, when I saw that notification, I was like, oh, are they trading someone? So we know Aaron Rodgers tore an Achilles. Unfortunate. It was horrible news to see. It's just unfortunate break for them. Would the 49ers be willing to trade a quarterback, do you think? Does that signal that maybe the 49ers are going to try to trade someone so then they go get another quarterback just in case? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, the Jets need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Do they really want Sam Darnold? Probably not, right? I don't think the Jets want Sam Darnold. But you never know. You never know. Maybe Sam Darnold looked good enough in the preseason that they feel like he's the best. He definitely would be one of the better non-starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Carson Wentz is out there. I don't know what the heck's happened to Carson Wentz, right? He wasn't that long ago. He was up for the MVP, and now it's like he's nothing. I don't know what to say about the Jets. They're a Super Bowl-ready team. What a kick to the gut, man. My God. I mean, these guys were in Hard Knocks going, guys, this is our quarterback. I mean, guys, think about it for a second. This is our quarterback. I mean, it's like they almost jinx themselves by being so enamored with Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers on that terrible turf, that was just a terrible decision, and I think they ought to do away with that turf. I saw Randall Cobb said that he thinks that the NFL ought to do away with that turf, and I agree with him. I mean, Bosa tore up his knee on that turf. Obviously, it grabs, and the natural surface is way more forgiving. I feel bad for the Jets, I do, but as far as how it pertains to the Niners, I'm wondering if Ian Book is just like, hey, practice squad fourth string, or if that means that maybe they want to save cap room and they want to move off of Brandon Allen, or are they preparing themselves for the idea that they might be able to get a draft choice for Sam Darnold? I wonder if the Jets called them right now, if Joe Douglas called John Lynch and said, hey, we'll give you a fifth-round pick for Sam Darnold. Would the Niners say, fine, we'll sign Ian Book, make Brandon Allen number 2, make Ian Book number 3, and trade Sam Darnold? Or do you think that they're still dreaming this Steve Young reclamation project dream?
I think they take the 5th-round pick, Larry. I honestly do. I don't think they're committed to Sam. You didn't draft him. You took him in the free agency.
Would you? Would you take the 5th? And go with Brandon Allen and Ian Book and say goodbye to Sam Darnold? I probably would. I'm not a huge Darnold guy, and I don't see a gigantic difference between Darnold and Brandon Allen. Now, Darnold's got a bigger arm than Brandon Allen, but Brandon Allen's probably got a little bit more poise, a little bit more accuracy than Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has starting caliber traits, but once again, are we going to fall in love with traits? I mean, you just drafted a guy 3rd overall a couple years ago that had all kinds of traits, and you just pawned him to Dallas for a 4th-round pick. So maybe it's no longer the time to be fascinated by guys with traits.
Yeah, I'd take the draft pick. Honestly, Ian Book, you want to talk about traits? He looked good coming out of Notre Dame. I thought he looked pretty good. And I think Kyle can use him and develop him. He kind of looked like a Brock Purdy type guy coming out of college. So I wouldn't mind taking the Bookster. young guy. I wouldn't hate it. I mean, again, we're all counting on Brock Purdy. Anyways, I'm not I'm not committed to Sam Darnold. I've never really been a big, huge Sam Darnold guy. If that's what they gave the team, a 5th-round pick, I would take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's interesting. If you're in the chat, would you rather have if you could get a 5th-round pick for Sam Darnold and move on and get a 5th-round pick and sign Ian Book and move Brandon Allen to 2 and Ian Book to 3? Would you move off of Darnold? I think I might. I'm not the big Darnold guy. Johnny Granado says either Kittle or Juszczyk or 2 tight ends on the right side versus Aaron Donald, Parsons, etc. He's thinking about pass protection going forward. I'd say just get the ball out. Get the ball out faster. What do you expect? Let's jump to the Rams for a second. What do you expect to see from the Rams in this game? The Rams just beat Seattle in Seattle, 30-13. It was an interesting game. They did it without Cooper Kupp. He's out with the hamstring. He won't be back this week. The Rams have ownage on Seattle. They've beaten them. They're 9-4 against Seattle in their last 13. And they outgained Seattle 426-180. Seattle only had 12 yards of offense in the second half of this game. In fact, the Rams in the second half, their drives went touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal, field goal. They've rebuilt their offensive line, the Rams have. Stafford threw for 334 yards, 58th career 300-yard day for him in the regular season. And they dominated the time of possession. They held the ball for 39 minutes. McVay says he wants to be more physical this year. They didn't run well. They ran for 92 yards on 40 carries. So 2.3 a carry. Kyron Williams out of Notre Dame was their leading rusher. But devoting themselves to ball control and pounding the run over and over and over again, it helped keep Seattle's offense on the field. Seattle's offense only played 46 snaps. That's a good 20 fewer than your average NFL team. What do you think? I mean, Seattle lost both offensive tackles in the third quarter. Charles Cross went out with a toe injury. Abraham Lucas went out with a knee injury. And the Rams got into manageable thirds, and they converted all day. It was 11 of 17 is what the Rams converted on third down. And a lot of it went to this Puka Nacua. Yeah, from BYU, who's a possession receiver from BYU, who's targeted 15 times. He caught 10 balls for 119. The other guy is the speedster out of Louisville, the 5'9 burner, Tutu Atwell, whose daddy played at the University of Minnesota, and now he's playing in the NFL. He had 6 catches for 119. Atwell's an interesting guy. I mean, he used to play quarterback in high school in Miami. He's a rail-thin slot receiver with big-time wheels. I mean, we're talking about 4.3 speed, legit 4.3 speed. So what do you think? How do you see week 2? Are the Niners a touchdown favorite? Are they going to go up there and slap the Rams around? Are the Rams a dangerous opponent to play early in the year? What do you think? How do you see the matchup?
So yeah, a couple of things. It's a division game this weekend, and it was a division game last week. Seattle and the Rams, like you said, Seattle typically doesn't do well against the Rams, and I think that's just a continuation of what we've seen with these two teams. And when you have a division game, you throw everything out the window, and these teams go out, they play hard because they know these division games win. And I think that's what we saw on Sunday was the Rams coming out, played with a chip on their shoulder. A lot of people have been discrediting them, myself included. I didn't think the Rams were going to beat Seattle. Everybody's talking about it's going to be the San Francisco 49ers versus Seattle. This is their division. Everybody else is terrible. But you know what? The Rams really stepped up. Like you said, Puka Nacua, I picked him up on my fantasy team. I needed that. I was like, okay, that's a little sleeper type guy. You never know. Cooper Kupp's going to be out for a while. Who knows how effective he will be when he comes back. Hamstrings, a tough injury. So they got guys that stepped up. Atwell, you mentioned him. That was a very solid player. They still have Aaron Donald on defense. I know they lost some players, but Aaron Donald's still Aaron Donald, and he's a wrecking ball. So he was wrecking up shop again. He's still Aaron Donald. I think that was McVay showcasing that he is a good coach, and he's still going to fight, that this team is going to come out there and battle tough. Again, the Seattle Seahawks typically don't play good against the Rams. And you know what? Typically, the Rams don't play good against the 49ers. I know the NFC Championship game was a little bit different a couple years ago, but Kyle Shanahan typically dominates McVay. So I still think the Niners are going to come into this game and dominate. I expect them to go out there. Levi South, as we all like to call it, out in SoFi Stadium. The Niner fans are going to travel well. We all know they do, and that's going to be basically a home atmosphere for the 49ers. So I think with the crowd, the team is just going to be amped up to play. Deebo Samuel, he comes and brings his hard hat when he plays the Rams. Like, his stats against the Rams in his career are disgusting. So I think Deebo, the 49ers, they're going to be hyped up. This is a division game. I expect the 49ers to win. 7 points at least should cover that. But I think the Rams will play tough. They always give us a hard fight at the beginning of the games, but it's going to come down to turnovers. And yeah, I definitely think the Rams overachieved on Sunday, and it was a surprise to me. But I think they're coming into the season with the chip on their shoulder because nobody is expecting them to win many games. So I think they'll play tough. But the 49ers should get this done.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is that the Rams are thin, but it's early in the year, and they're at home. So, yeah, I think you're going to get a fully healthy Rams team that I think this team's going to be really bad as the season plays out because they're so thin. They're so thin. But right now, early in the year, when everybody's healthy for the most part, they're looking pretty good. Now, they didn't have Cooper Kupp. They're not going to have Cooper Kupp. But this Puka Nacua from BYU is a great route runner. And if you can just run these short intermediate routes and run the ball on first and second down and shorten the game, and you got Stafford back there and he can just find Nacua sitting in these soft spots in the zone and just keep his offense on the field for as long as possible, that's probably their game plan this year. They got a brand new left guard in Steve Avila from TCU, who's a monster. So I like Avila quite a bit. And they've got, Kyron Williams and Cam Akers. They got Ty Higbee still. But I think the Niners pass rush should be able to get home. The Rams tackles are Alaric Jackson and Rob Havenstein. I got to think the Niners edge rushers can win there. The real reason I love the 49ers is I think the number one corner for the Rams is Ahkello Witherspoon.
Oh, that's right.
He's their number one corner. Then you got Darion Kendrick. He was a 6th-round pick. Duke Shelley was just cut by the Raiders. Trey Tomlinson, 6th-round pick. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't really have big time. Kobe Durant is a day 3 pick. I don't see their secondary being able to hang with the 49er receivers. If the Niners, if the Niners can have some success running the ball and they can play action pass, I think Debo, Ayuk, Jennings, I think these guys are going to be open all afternoon. All afternoon.
Witherspoon, wow, this is going to be a revenge game.
And he got hurt in the 4th quarter, by the way, Raj.
Dude, DK Metcalf, he pushed him like a little punk, man. Come on.
Yeah. So Witherspoon, if he's healthy, Witherspoon will be out there in week 1. What did you think of Bosa?
Yeah, so I think he was definitely rusty. I think that's the biggest way I looked at it was he was in shape. We all knew he was coming into camp or to the game in shape. The guy's ripped out of his mind, but I think not being out there and getting his feet wet in the preseason and training camp, he's just rusty. It's like when you don't play. It's like when you start preseason games, you're a little rusty. I think that's what it was. He's just getting tuned up. I wasn't too worried about it, but incredibly, he was the highest rated defender on the 49ers defense per PFF. Now, they look at different things, their analytics. They don't go into the box score. Obviously, he didn't get sacks or anything, but I think he impacted the game in another way. He was getting doubled. He was getting tripled. He was getting held.
He had 3 hurries. He had 1 stop against the run. I mean, Pittsburgh didn't run well. They didn't run a lot either, though.
So he still had an impact on the game. Now, I think we all would have loved to see him get some big, sacks and all that stuff and fill the box score, but he had an impact. Again, set the edge against the run. He had 3 pressures. He still had an impact. And, they had him on a pitch count. I still think he was a little rusty because there was times he got pancaked on one play. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. He got pancaked. So I think he still was a little tired, getting his feet wet under him, getting his sea legs, as they like to say. Give him a week or two. Nick Bosa is not going to like his performance that he just did this weekend. And I know he's going to have a monster performance coming up.
Drake was amazing. 3 sacks, the coming out party for Drake. Pickett
Yeah.
was under pressure 44% of his dropbacks. So the Niners, they got some good pressure. But I mean, to me, if Drake Jackson, and we saw this all summer, you were in training camp, you saw it as well. Drake put on a lot of weight in the upper body. He spent a lot of time at the facility in the summertime. And he's going to be able to put heat on the quarterback. And this is a guy who had a hard time getting on the field at the end of the year and in the playoffs. But man, it's like found money. The guy's really worked at it. He spent a ton of time building up his body, working on his get-offs at the facility. Man, I thought he always had a good motor and good bend, but now he's on a deeper line with all kinds of talent. I think Drake Jackson's going to have 10, 12 sacks. Easy.
Okay. Yeah, no, I absolutely think he can. And again, this was one of the issues that we kind of talked about this offseason. We said, is, the 49ers defensive line going to be able to hold up on the opposite side of Nick Bosa? Remember, me and you sat here, we said they needed a veteran edge. And to me, they're telling us, hey, we're going to take all our chances. We're all in with Drake Jackson. We like what he's seen. Like you said, he spent days after day. He was stacking days in the facility, getting stronger. And I honestly think that they said, you know what? We're gonna see what Drake Jackson can do, and he's reaping the benefits of Hargrave and Bosa and Armstead now. Armstead and Hargrave in the middle was just opening up so much spaces. And Clelin Ferrell played good too. So if Drake can continue to get those cleanup sacks like he did on Sunday, 10 sacks is going to be easy, light work for him. So I was very pleased seeing Drake coming out. He leads the NFL in sacks, tied with TJ Watt. Nice to see. Let's see if it keeps up. But he's definitely going to be the big beneficiary from all the great D-line work. And honestly, again, it just goes to show you that they trusted this young man, and I think he's going to make them proud if he can keep it up.
3 last ones before we let you go. Let's first hit on Steve Wilkes. Wilkes didn't, we thought D'Amico didn't blitz a lot. Sala didn't blitz a lot. They leaned on their front 4 a lot. Wilkes did not blitz very much. Now, he blitzed a lot at the start of the game, but that was it. The Niners blitzed Kenny Pickett on 10 of 52 dropbacks, so only 19% blitz rate, which is quite a bit lower than what they were a year ago and lower than most Wilkes defenses usually. And the Niners also played 63 snaps on defense total, 56 of the 63, so almost 90% were in the nickel, 7% were in the base. First half, he played Ambry a lot outside and Lenore in the slot. Second half, he played Lenore outside, and he played Oliver in the slot. What'd you think of game number 1 from Wilkes' defense? I mean, holding the Steelers, let's be honest, the numbers aren't even really reflective. The Steelers didn't even get their first down until inside of the 2-minute warning in the second quarter. They had like 1 yard of offense in the first quarter.
Yeah.
It was a dominating defensive performance. What did you think of the way Wilkes called the game?
I was impressed, because I was very iffy with Wilkes going into this offseason. I mean, I liked what I saw him teaching guys and stuff, but, big shoes to fill with D'Amico Ryans and Robert Salah and a lot of pressure. But, I mean, when they showed that stat on the game where they had 199 yards of offense for the 49ers compared to 1, I was like, come again? What? My eyes were like, whoa.
I know, seriously, is that a misprint?
I thought it was a typo. I was like, whoa. So, yeah, for sure. Defense played good. I mean, was it perfect? No, there were some miscues. Lenore got a cut down on the penalties. Ambry Thomas got, beat a few plays. But, that's what Wilkes is doing. He said he's going to try to rotate these guys and figure out who is the best during the situation. So he's still toying with the defense. He's still finding out the most optimal lineup with the secondary. But, I mean, look, you had a interception by Mooney Ward, who says he wants to be an all-pro this year. I mean, Fred Warner, I mean, come on. This guy was all over the field. We expected, tipped it. Hufanga picked it. I mean, Hufanga was lights out. The little hit on Fairmouth. I mean, this guy is going to be an all-pro again. He's just picking up where he left off. So defense was amazing. The linebackers, I think they got faster this year. Drake Greenlaw, unbelievable.
He looked great.
The D-line, like we talked about, just on another level. Nick Bosa was, like you said, a little rusty. Once he gets into full shape, defense is number 1 in the league again. I think it's going to be the number 1 defense again. And I was impressed by Steve Wilkes. Again, big shoes to fill. And I was happy with this performance.
We're talking to the great Raj from RSF 49ers on the Krueg Show on this what's late evening on the 12th of September. We should mention our sponsors brought to you by Marin Auto Glass, marinautoglass.com. You break a windshield, they'll come out, pop out the old windshield, glaze in the new one, sweep away the glass. It's a one-stop shop. 415-883-3030. The only sausage I will eat is New York style Italian sausage. And, of course, the title sponsor of the Krueg Show, Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Raj, two last ones before we let you go. I was looking around at the different power rankings early this week, and sure enough, I'm finding the Niners. Everywhere I look, the Niners are number one. Bleacher Report power rankings, Niners number one. NBC power rankings, Niners are the best team in football. Colin Cowherd did his power rankings today. Niners number one. ESPN did their power rankings. Niners number one. NFL.com has the Niners number one. There might have been a couple that had Dallas as number one. Are the 49ers 1 week in the best team in the NFL?
Absolutely. Look at the defense. Look at we just said dominating performance on the road against Mike Tomlin led team. This offense was efficient. They moved the ball well, no turnovers. They had 2 turnovers. They're only going to get better. Nick Bosa, like I said, he hasn't even got his sea legs under him. This team looked like the best team in football. I watched every game this weekend. Had the red zone. It was a great weekend. This team was just flat out dominant, and they're only going to get better. I think the call is right. I know a lot of people would say Dallas maybe, but the Giants just didn't look good. I think the Giants overachieved last year. I mean, it's going to be close. Dallas played good. You can't take anything away from them. But the 49ers, man, the offense was just flat out filthy. And again, they didn't even have to use Kittle and Debo. The defense was just wrecking. Every time I saw Kenny Pickett drop back, there was a lineman in his lap. Like he had Hargrave just in his face. People were coming at him. He didn't know what to do. He looked like a rookie out there. Niners are for real, man. Top of the charts, back in their hearts. I love it.
Who was you said you watched the red zone all weekend. Give me your big takeaway from week one. I mean, obviously, the low light was the Jets lost Aaron Rodgers 4 plays in. It got started last Thursday with the Chiefs losing at home to the Detroit Lions. The Bengals a lot of people thought were going to be a Super Bowl contender. Jim Schwartz's defense for the Browns, he's the new DC with Cleveland, really contained Joe Burrow and company in Cleveland. Bengals lost 24-3. Yeah. The Vikings lost at home to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kirk Cousins threw an interception in that game. Niners routed the Steelers. What else? Ravens routed Texans. Packers look pretty good. Jordan Love threw for 3 touchdowns and 245 yards, and Green Bay scored 28 points in the second half at Soldier, and they beat the Bears 38-20. Jimmy Garoppolo got a win in Denver. The Patriots gave a scare to the Eagles, but the Eagles beat the Patriots at Gillette. Chargers lost at home, and their defense that has Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa got 0 sacks and no hits on the quarterback, and Tua dropped back to pass like 40 freaking times, and still they couldn't sack him. And then Dallas, of course, destroyed the Giants, and the Rams upset the Seahawks. Seahawks looked really, really bad, by the way. Week 1 at home, they only put up 13 points. What was what stood out to you week 1, good, bad, or otherwise?
Yeah, so a couple of things that stood out to me. So the Miami Dolphins, that offense is insane. Mike McDaniel, he's already made that team look good, and I think if Tua stays healthy, I think he's going to be a really solid quarterback. That's the biggest thing is he has to be able to stay healthy. Concussions have been scary for him, but he's done some new techniques. That offense is insane. It's Kyle Shanahan offense, a different wrinkle of it. Him and Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan led the NFL last week in motion and play action snaps and stuff like that. And you could just see the offenses were at the highest level out of everybody. Chargers, their coach better be on the hot seat because they have so much talent. And for them to underachieve the way they do is just unacceptable. And the other thing that I saw this weekend was all the high-paid quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Herbert, all these guys, like the highest paid quarterbacks, Lamar, all these quarterbacks, I think they all combined for like one touchdown. I saw some crazy stat, $950 million in one touchdown. These guys are getting paid a lot of money, but sometimes it's the team around you. Everybody sits there and talks, oh, well, Brock has a great team around you. Well, I'm happy Brock has a great team around him. That's what you want. You want a great team around you to win games. I think the Eagles definitely looked flat. They didn't look too hot, although they played Bill Belichick, who's a great coach, so I'm sure he schemed. But come on, those Patriots, it's not a good team. So the Eagles looked a little rusty. A lot of teams came out a little flat. Bears, I think they're overrated, and the Packers showed that. Jordan Love, very impressive.
Good.
He looked good. That's a quarterback that really kind of stood out to me out of all the guys. And he waited and waited and waited. He got his opportunity, and he looked good. The Packers might have lucked out with another franchise quarterback here. And then the other team that really kind of impressed me was the Lions. I think they're going to be a good team. I know the Chiefs had some guys missing, but still, Lions are a good team. That was a good win for them.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. Last one. Let's peek ahead to week 2. It gets rolling Thursday night. Vikings and Eagles in Philly. Philly's a touchdown favorite there. Then we get Packers, Falcons in Atlanta. Raiders, Bills in Buffalo. Ravens, Bengals. Huge game for the Bengals. They don't want to go down to 0-2. Seahawks don't want to start 0-2 either, but they'll be in Detroit against the Lions. That's going to be a tough one. Titans at home against Chargers. Bears and Bucks go in Tampa. Chiefs and Jaguars in Jacksonville. Chiefs don't want to fall to 0-2. Colts and Texans. Niners and Rams. Giants and Cardinals. Jets, Cowboys. That should be pretty good too. The both teams are 1-0, and that one's in Dallas. Commanders, Broncos, Dolphins, Patriots on Sunday Night Football, and then the Monday night doubleheader next week. We get a doubleheader next week. It's Saints, Panthers in the first game on ESPN2, and then on ABC, Browns, Steelers. Deshaun Watson on the road at Heinz Field. What's the week 2 game you're looking forward to?
Well, other than the Niners, I'm going to tell you this right now. Upset of the week. Knock it down. Keep the receipt.
Okay.
Jaguars are beating the Chiefs week 2.
Really? Tell me why you like that one. I know Josh Allen, the edge rusher, has just looked awesome.
Phenomenal. I love that guy coming out of college. I remember he was one of my guys. But the defense is good. The team believes. And it's Trevor Lawrence. He's turning into the guy that everybody expected. Number 1 quarterback in the draft a couple years back. Calvin Ridley is the game changer. I mean, that duo right now, locked and loaded. I for some reason have this feeling that the Jaguars, I said this earlier in the season, in the offseason, I have the Jags as the number 1 seed in the AFC because they have such an easy division. If they can somehow win some of these games like this, they will get the number 1 seed. I don't know why. I have this feeling the Jaguars are they're going to win some games this year that we don't expect them to. And their division, they should win 6 games between the Colts, the Titans, and the Texans. They're all rookie quarterbacks other than the Titans there. I expect the Jaguars to make some noise. And if they can beat the Chiefs this week, oh, man, that's going to be great for their franchise. Although the Chiefs will be coming in with Chris Jones and Travis Kelce, so it's not going to be easy. But I have the Jaguars upset of the week. Keep the receipt, Larry.
I like the Chiefs in the first half in that game. Okay. I don't know. We'll see about the second half, but I think Chiefs come out and score some points early on. Raj, tease people with what you got cooking on all your platforms between now and the rest of the week. I know you do a number of lives and you do post games and that kind of thing. What do you got cooking?
Yeah, same stuff. I got some more lives coming up. I got one tonight actually on Instagram. I'll be doing with Jake the week 2 recap. Basically a recap. We do a show every week. We started last week, so we kind of break down the week, kind of do a preview of the next week. So kind of like we did here at the end of the show, we're going to do that. I do have another live, I think, with Aaron. And then also I restarted my YouTube. I got rid of the old YouTube. So I don't know if you noticed, it's RSF 49ers live. I had to get rid of the old one and I'm starting fresh, starting from scratch. So if you're an old subscriber and you haven't subscribed to the new channel, RSF 49ers live, that's the new page.
Now, why did you get rid of the old one? Did you can you divulge why you decided to start fresh?
Yeah, I've been talking about it. So, I mean, the old YouTube, for some reason, I don't know why, but they kind of flagged my page. I was not getting monetized, and I deleted content, and once you start deleting things and you kind of get behind in the algorithm, your page kind of dies out. So it was a tough decision. I tried multiple times to kind of keep fixing my page and stuff, but I had to do what I had to do, and it's just needed a fresh start on the page. So there's no, reuse content strikes or any of that stuff. So
now it's RSF 49ers Live.
Yeah.
RSF 49ers Live. So I want everybody to go hit a like and subscribe over there at Raj's place. Raj, we'll talk to you next week, man. Good stuff. Always good to see you.
Appreciate you, Larry. Always good talking to you, my man.
There you go. Raj, RSF 49ers, does a phenomenal job. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Last week, I hit big in Underdog Fantasy. I went Nico Collins and Brandon Ayuk, both over 3 receptions, and it hit. Let's have a quick mention for Underdog Fantasy. All right, guys, this year the Krueg Show has partnered with Underdog Fantasy. That's right. This football season, Underdog Fantasy gives fans a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. You can check out their weekly pick'em players, where you pick between 2 to 5 players and select whether they'll go higher or lower on their game stats. Then you do what you normally spend your Sundays doing, watching the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, but you can win real money. This week, I'm going with Devontae Adams higher than 74.5 receiving yards, Brock Purdy higher than 217.5 passing yards, DeAndre Hopkins higher than 60.5 receiving yards, and Jamal Williams on Monday night higher than 55.5 rushing yards. You can enter the same as me, or you can make your own pick. Sign up using the promo code Krueg, Krueg, and they'll match you up to $100. All right, coming down the home stretch on the Krueg Show. Quick mention for our sponsors, Pig in a Pickle, of course, Marin Auto Glass, and New York Style Italian Sausage, and, of course, Underdog Fantasy. And here's the location in Corte Madera looks like at Pig in a Pickle.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York Style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York Style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, coming down the home stretch on the Krueg Show. Mr. Joe says Larry loves his sausage. There you go. New York style Italian sausage. Clarsard says, Krueg, what's the biggest weakness on this team currently? I think it's the special teams coverage units. I mean, every single time in the preseason and in this week one. It just looked like somebody was taking one to the house. Like every return guy is one step away from busting it, and that's not a good place to live. So that's what I would say. I would say the coverage unit on special teams is the weakness. All right, that is going to do it for us. Thanks to Raj for joining us. A good day today. We had Dave Lombardi on earlier, Raj as well. We got some great videos out on the Krueg Show. Hit like and subscribe, everybody. If you hit like, more people find us in the algorithm. If you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell every time we go live, you're going to get an alert that we are going live and that you can join. And right now, if you're one of the people in the chat and you have yet to hit subscribe, please do. We're closing in on 23,000 subs. We're at 22,953, 22,953, closing in on 23,000 subs. What do we got cooking the rest of the week? Well, today is Tuesday. Tomorrow, I'll be down in Santa Clara. Kyle Shanahan talks to the media at 12:40. I will be there. The locker room opens at 12:45. I will be there for that. Practice at 1:50. I will be there for that. And then tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we'll have our call-in show, our weekly call-in show. We're going Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. Kev's got some special stuff planned. It'll be my son, Kevin Krueger, joining me tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on the channel. Thursday on the channel, we're back down in Santa Clara for practice. We'll talk to Steve Wilkes, Chris Forster, Brock Purdy. They'll have an open locker room. And then tomorrow night at 6:30 on the Vish Kumaran channel, I believe, it'll be Jesse and Vish and I on the big show. Friday, we got more Niner practice. Kyle Shanahan will be speaking. Jack Hammer and I usually get together on Friday. I still got to confirm that with Jack, but probably Friday morning with Jack. Saturday morning at 9 a.m., the coach will be in the house, and we'll chop it up and talk about the Rams-Niners matchup. And then coming up this Sunday, Niners and Rams post-game show with myself and Kevin and Baller and maybe Danny and Rye and JD and who knows, maybe somebody else. Maybe we'll have a surprise guest or two somewhere along the way. But that is what's going on the channel the rest of the week. Luke Luna, let's see if he can make a comeback here, Luke. He says, Larry, you also referenced Brock as big plays, small body like Elijah Mitchell, where you said they are both injury prone, then said he was glass like two. I didn't say he was glass. I never said he was glass, all right, when talking about how they're both doing well. I said that both guys, that's the concern, that they're going to get injured. That's generally the concern. I don't have a lot of concern about Brock Purdy being injured, which is why I said he should be their starting quarterback, why I think that he should be the guy. And now Mitchell and Ness, who said earlier tonight that he didn't like my face. Thank you, Mitchell and Ness. Larry contradicts himself a lot at Luke Luna. I really didn't. Do I have any concerns about Brock Purdy? I really don't. My only concerns about Brock Purdy are injuries. And my biggest concern about Brock Purdy is that he will stand in courageously against the rush to a fault. Kind of like Elijah Mitchell, who's a smaller back and runs between the tackles. My concern with Brock Purdy is that he's not worried about the rush, and the ball doesn't always come out on time. Sometimes he holds it too long. Sometimes he takes hits he should not be taking. That's all I'm saying. There's a big difference between he takes hits he shouldn't be taking, and he's somehow fragile or easily breakable or injury prone. I'm just saying, if he has a weakness, he's on time, he's accurate, he's smart as hell in processing, he can run the short game to perfection. His footwork in the short game, the intermediate game, the play action game, and in the bootleg game is on point. Probably as good as any quarterback going. What's his weakness? He will hold the ball, and he's not afraid. So he'll take some hits that he really doesn't need to take. Mitchell and Ness says, on a real note, Purdy's clock should get better with more experience. Luke Luna says, but I love Larry. That's why I'm here. All right, there you go. Mitchell and Ness is always here, but he hates my face. Luke Luna is putting words in my mouth. But either way, brothers, love both you guys. We'll see you here tomorrow. Hey, thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody who's in the chat. Thanks to my son. Thanks to Len Dempsey. Thanks to Dave Lombardi. Thanks to Raj for joining the stream. Appreciate every single one of you guys having a ton of fun doing this. Help us get to 23,000. If we get enough people tonight, we could potentially get to 23,000 subs this evening. Wouldn't that be a thrill? We've had over 1 million views of Krug Show material in the last 4 weeks alone. That is a number we're all very, very proud of. So anyway, thanks to all of you guys. Thanks for enjoying the stream with the great Raj. Going to have a little dinner with the family, walk the dog, maybe watch a little bit of the Rams. You know what? I have not watched the Rams. I'm going to watch on the NFL Plus. I think I'm going to watch the condensed version of the Rams. Then I'm going to go back and watch the all 22 of the Rams. Then I'm going to go watch the Rams in the preseason and get a good. I'm getting my Rams on tonight. I've watched the Niner game 3.5 times. I got a pretty good handle on Niners Steelers. Now I'm going to peek ahead to the Rams. I don't want to get too cocky on that game, but I do think the Niners are going to win big. So anyway, thanks to all you guys. Have a great night. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for.